I never imagined I'd see the day when our HOA president, Linda Harper, would be hauled off in handcuffs, her pristine blonde ponytail a mess, mascara streaking down her face as she shrieked at the cops. "Do you have any idea who I am? I'm in charge of this neighborhood." The officers didn't flinch, their faces stone cold as they steered her toward the patrol car. In her trembling hand was my handicap placard, still warm from being yanked off my dashboard just hours before. From my wheelchair, I watched the chaos unfold, my heart pounding with a mix of disbelief and, I'll admit, a flicker of grim satisfaction. Neighbors clustered around, some filming on their phones, others murmuring in shock. This wasn't how anyone expected the monthly HOA barbecue to end. Levying with a disability in Willow Creek hadn't been a walk in the park, but I'd managed. The handicap parking spot right outside my townhouse was a lifeline on days when my legs just wouldn't cooperate. I'd dealt with annoyances before delivery guys treating the spot like a loading zone, siders swearing they'd only be a minute, teenagers acting like the blue lines were optional. But Linda? She was supposed to be above that. She'd built her whole persona on enforcing the HOA's rules, slapping bright orange violation stickers on cars for parking a hair over the line. "Rules keep us civilized," she'd say, flashing that polished smile that never quite felt real. So when my spot started getting messed with, I was thrown. It started over the 4th of July weekend, when everyone's relatives were in town and parking was tighter than a drum. I caught Linda cruising the lot in her sleek black BMW, her face twisted in frustration as she hunted for a space. When she noticed me watching, she gave a curt wave and a smile that screamed fake. The next morning after physical therapy, I found my spot empty-odd, since I'd asked my sighting cousin to leave it free. I had to park 3 buildings over and wheel myself home, fighting the uneven sidewalk the whole way. My arms burned by the time I got inside. The next day, I made sure to claim my spot after a grocery run, hanging my placard on the dashboard like always. But an hour later, I glanced out my window and saw my car boxed in by 2 vehicles, one of them Linda's BMW. I called the towing company listed on the HOA board, only to be told they were on hold for the holiday week, per the HOA president's orders. Convenient, right? I confronted Linda, and she oozed fake sympathy, promising to move her car. 2 hours later, she did. But what happened next still makes my blood boil. Tuesday morning, I headed out for a doctor's appointment and found a random gray Toyota in my spot. Worse, my placard was gone. I'd hung it up the night before, I was sure of it. Had someone broken in? Nothing else was missing. Thank God I'd installed a porch camera after a package got swiped last month. I pulled up the footage on my phone, and my jaw dropped. There at 6:45 a.m. was Linda. She glanced around like a thief in the night, then strode to my car. I'd forgotten to lock it in my exhaustion, and she popped the door open, snatched the placard, stuffed it in her purse, and scurried off, checking over her shoulder with every step. The betrayal hit harder than the theft. This wasn't some random jerk. This was Linda, the woman who preached about community standards, stealing from a disabled neighbor. I was VYD, but played it smart. I called the non-emergency police line to report the theft, then used my backup placard to get to my appointment. When I got home, my neighbor Mike texted me a photo. "Isn't this yours?" it read. The picture showed Linda's BMW parked in my spot, my stolen placard dangling from her rear EW mirror. She hadn't even bothered to park somewhere else. The nerve of it was staggering. I thanked Mike and dialed 911. When the police rolled up, I was waiting by my spot, where Linda's car still sat. She stepped out of her townhouse, arms full of shopping bags, her face a mask of confusion. "Officers, is there a problem?" she asked, her voice dripping with that fake charm she used on maintenance crews. I laid it all out, showing the cops the security footage. Linda laughed it off. "This is a misunderstanding. That placard's mine. I got a bad back, you know." The taller officer asked for her placard registration card, which every legit user carries. Linda's smile cracked. "Oh, it's inside. Let me grab it," she stammered. "Actually, ma'am," the officer cut in, "we can check the placard's number against our records." That's when I saw real fear in Linda's eyes. She was trapped. As the cops approached her car, she switched gears. "It's not a big deal," she said, forcing a casual tone. I just borrowed it for a quick errand. Those handicap spots are always empty anyway. Then she turned to me, her voice sharp with venom. Some people are so selfish, hogging prime parking when they barely drive. I kept my cool, which seemed to make her madder. Actually, Linda, I said, I use my car every day. And even if I didn't, that spot's legally mine under the Americans with Disabilities Act. The officers pulled the placard from her car and matched its number to my police report. This is the stolen placard, the female cop confirmed. Ma'am, did you take this from your neighbor's vehicle? Linda's face cycled through shock, denial, and panic in seconds. I was going to give it back, she squealed. It's not like I stole it for good. The community needs those spots for guests during the holidays. I'm the HOA president. I make decisions for everyone's benefit. The cops exchanged a look. That's not how the law works, one said. Misusing a handicap placard is a misdemeanor, and theft is theft, no matter your title. As they read her rights, Linda's protests turned to wails. This will destroy my reputation. I was just balancing parking fairness. This is discrimination against able-bodied people. The officers stayed calm, cuffing her as a crowd gathered. Among them were neighbors who'd gotten Linda's nasty violation notices or felt her petty wrath. Nobody cheered, but I saw plenty of quiet smirks. One cop laid out the stakes. In this state, placard misuse carries fines up to due law $3,000, plus theft charges. Linda looked like she'd been slapped. La 3,000? A criminal record? But I'm on the PDA. I run the charity gala. Then Mr. Thompson, the retired judge from down the street, spoke up. This violates HOA bylaws too, he said coolly. Section 8 bars officers from criminal acts tied to the community. Linda's face went white. Not only was she facing jail time, but her precious throne was slipping away. 3 days later, at an emergency HOA meeting packed to the rafters, her fate was sealed. The vote to oust her was unanimous. Even her usual cronies couldn't defend her. The new interim president announced her charges: theft and unlawful placard use, with a due law $2,500 fine and 40 hours of community service at a local disability center, helping folks like me with transportation. When Linda heard the sentence in court, she lost it. This is absurd, she screamed. I've poured years into this community. It was one parking spot one time. The judge didn't budge, warning her that another outburst would mean contempt. As she was led away, the weight of her downfall hit her like a freight train. Her perfect image shattered, her power gone. Looking back, I still feel the sting of her betrayal, but there's a strange relief, too. My spot's mine again, and the neighborhood feels a little lighter without Linda's iron grip. But it's got me thinking, how far would you go to snag a parking spot? Was Linda just a power-hungry bully, or did the holiday chaos push her too far? Should she get a second chance, or does she deserve every bit of this? And what would you do if someone stole something you rely on right under your nose? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if this story got your blood pumping, and subscribe for more real-life drama. Let's hear it.